Court will come to order. It is Monday morning, August the 15th, 2022. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is in special session. And so we don't have normal input or prayer and pledge, but we go straight to the consideration agenda. The first item we have on the agenda today is 1.1, which is consideration and approval of an order calling a bond election to be held by Kerr County. This is something that we've been working on for 3 years. We have our Capital Improvement Planning Committee here. I think this weekend we were kind of adding it up, and I think we had, at least somewhere between 75 and 100 meetings over the last 3 years. I've met with the Commissioners Court probably at least, what do you think, half a dozen times? At least?
At least.
And we have cussed and discussed this, and we've kind of got it down to the bare minimum that we think we need to do. We brought our lawyers from San Antonio to kind of walk us through this procedure. We have to call the election. And when we call the election, those of us that are elected officials or even employees of Kerr County, we have to change our hats a little bit. So this is a tutorial on what we have to do. And what we're looking at is this election that we're trying to call will be held at the general election, which will be November the 8th. And we're expecting a large turnout for this. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the floor. Fred, you've got a deal here. Do you want to kind of kick us off?
I could do that, or I can follow up.
Okay.
Your discretion.
Well, the proposition that we're proposing is proposition A, B, and C. A has to do with the courthouse facilities, both the main courthouse as well as the remote annexes that we have. Proposition B has to do with the indoor arena over at the Hill Country Youth Event Center. And I said it right, Pete? And Proposition C has to do with an animal services shelter. So, to kind of briefly summarize, this is a $27.5 million bond issue that we're asking for. Maybe I ought to read some of the numbers. For the courthouse square, the courthouse ground floor, the Earl Garrett campus, the West Kerr County Annex, the Kerr County storage, I forget, that's what, 12 million what?
We have $13,685,000.
Okay, say it again?
$13,685,000.
Okay, 13.6.
That's what will be in the proposition.
Okay. Now, for those of you that heard that voice, normally when you're going to speak here in a minute, I'm going to put you up at the podium because we are on YouTube. And that was Jay Wattis, who is our legal counsel from San Antonio with McCall Parkhurst. So, and Tom Spurgeon will be with him, so when you see these new faces and voices, you'll know who they are.
Great. For the record, Jake Wattis, McCall, Parkhurst, and Horton, bond attorneys to Kerr County. For Proposition B, the indoor arena proposition, that amount is $8,065,000. I'll just go ahead and touch on Proposition C as well, the animal facility. That amount is $5,750,000.
For a total of $27,500,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So that's kind of, that's a very short summary for a very long period of 3 years of trying to put this together. This all started, by the way, with a typical legislative unfunded mandate. And you know how we love those. And I am being sarcastic about that. But back in 2018 and early 19, we remodeled our county court of law for the first time in its history. And it's state of the art now. And within 6 months, the Texas legislature was in session, and they passed a law requiring that county courts of law now have 12-person juries instead of 6-person juries. And the jury room that we have was for 6 plus 2 alternates. So you could get 8 people in there, maybe, shoulder to shoulder. And that's how we were operating. And with the new mandate, we have to have a 14-person room. And the only place that you can expand for that county court of law is into the tax office. And because of that, taking that space out of the tax office, we have to relocate them. And the decision was that we wanted to relocate the tax office off-site to a different location. And we shopped around and found the old church buildings down here on Earl Garrett, and found that we could move the tax office within 1 block of the courthouse. And so that's kind of what started it. And then from there, we started looking at the needs. And we formed the CIP. I think we first met in October of 2019. And we had the misfortune of trying to do our job during COVID, which was very difficult for us to do. And it was at that time that, and I'll give Chris Hughes the credit, he's the one that asked us, he says, I want to make sure I understand how this bond issue stuff works. You decide what you need, you then go out and figure out what it's going to cost, and put that number together and put it on a ballot and take it to the people. And then the people that you're trying to buy the land from, the people that you're trying to negotiate with to build it, know exactly what you have in your budget. It's kind of backwards, isn't it? So what we did during COVID is we learned lessons from the Great Recession back in the 80s. We went out because property values were very low, interest rates were very low. We borrowed $2.5 million on what is called a TAN, a tax anticipation note. And we started buying property. And we bought 16 acres over off Spur 100 inside the city limits. That's right behind the road and bridge yard over by the national cemeteries. And we got that 16 acres between Spur 100 and the VA. And on that property is where we plan to put the animal services facility, put the storage that we need to build, and have it available for to expand the road and bridge yard, and still have probably 12 or so acres left for future growth. And we bought that 16 acres for $350,000. We then we looked at West Kerr County with regard to the annex, and the building that we're renting is grossly inadequate. It's not ADA compliant. It's kind of an embarrassment, quite frankly. And we would like for the county to own the facility in West Kerr County. And so we shopped and bought 1.5 acres immediately adjacent to Ingram Tom Moore High School. And we got that for $300,000. We then had the fortuitous opportunity to purchase the old Sunday school building and the chapel building and the lot next door and the lot across the street at 550 Earl Garrett, just down the street, 1 block up here. And we got a 10,000 square foot building. We got a 3,800 square foot chapel that's going to be the tax office with the drive-through kiosk, and about 130 parking places, 1 block from the courthouse. And by the time we finish putting in the elevator, converting the bathrooms, making everything ADA compliant, and a new roof on the building, we spent about $1.7 million on that. And so for $2.5 million, we got 19.5 acres, 10,000 square feet of office space, 3,800 square feet to put the tax office in, 130 parking places within a block of the courthouse, and a new facility in Ingram, and a new facility out at the what we call the Spur 100 campus. And that's what we're bringing to the people. We've worked hard. We think we've made some very wise purchases. We know where we're going to go. We know what we've got to do. And so with that, I'm asking, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion so that we're legally in play here. Make a motion that we go ahead and set this matter, this bond issue, for a vote on November the 8th.
Look at Tom Spurgeon. Is that a sufficient motion, or do we need to be more detailed in the actual motion?
I think that with the intent being that what the judge is calling for is approval of the election order that is on your agenda.
Is that you?
No. So Judge,
I'm sorry.
No, apologize. Sorry.
So the motion includes approval of the election order in the agenda?
Yes.
Second?
Yes, sir.
So we've got a motion and a second to approve the election orders that are in the agenda that we posted and on the website to conduct the election. Floor is open for discussion.
One thing you didn't mention, is the Hill Country Youth Event Center.
Oh, yes, yes,
That's
sorry.
fine.
Well, and I didn't really think much about the animal control either.
No.
But the Hill Country the Hill Country Youth Event Center indoor arena has a dirt floor, for those of you that haven't been out there, and that is the original dirt floor from when they built it 40 some odd years ago, and it was built by volunteers, by the way. I know there's a lot of complaint about the maintenance out there, but that was really a gift from the public for us. But that dirt is contaminated, and we had Joe Triola take a look at it. We don't comply with the electrical requirements. We don't require with the plumbing requirements. We don't comply with anything out there. And it's become the epicenter. The Hill Country Youth Event Center is the epicenter of all emergency management in Kerr County. For the county, the city, the school districts, everybody. Headquarters out of that facility. And it is time for us to go ahead and concrete that floor and make the necessary improvements to, just like it is over there at the show barn. That's what we're trying to do, is just replicate the show barn. And then for the animal control, for those of you who haven't been out there, I highly recommend that you go, because it is wholly and completely, entirely inadequate. And I have to confess that when I first took office, I had never been to the animal control facility. And when I went out there for the first time, I was embarrassed and shocked that we would call that our animal control facility. It's an old house that we've converted into an animal control facility. And it's time that we have a 21st century animal control facility. And we've been working very closely with Kerrville Pets Alive, and they have helped us do this. And so that's what we're doing with regard to the new animal control facility.
That's a prime piece of property out on Loop that we can sell in the future.
And that's part of the plan, is to be able to sell that when we move it. And if we have to expand and move our maintenance department, we've got plenty of room out there on those 16 acres to move the maintenance department, if that's the case. Because the property where the maintenance building is now, that whole half block, is very valuable. And something that we could also sell if we needed to offset these costs.
In the middle of town, right?
Okay. Rich, you want to talk?
Yes, sir. My name is Rich Paces. I live in Centerpoint, and I am your Precinct 2 County Commissioner-elect.
Good.
So, look, last Thursday I spent 5 hours touring around all the county facilities with some of the Capital Improvements Planning Committee personnel. And I will say first and foremost that they've done a great job of identifying needs and coming up with potential solutions to those needs. And I do support some of them. And I'm going to state right up front, though, that it's very disappointing that the county has not done a better job of maintaining its assets via routine or even non-routine maintenance in the annual budgets. And I'm referring specifically to the ag barn and the roof and the electrical hazards. So, but the real issue is you're asking for $27.5 million. I have zero confidence that you can achieve these projects within $27.5 million, and the timing couldn't be worse. We're in the middle of a recession. We have inflation at a 40-year high. Food and energy prices have seen some of the biggest inflationary increases. And look, inflation is effectively a tax increase on those who can least afford it. We have people in this county who are struggling to get by. And then on top of it, for people who live in Kerrville, well, the city just they substantially increased its tax rate, 12.9% on the tax rate, according to the Kerrville Daily Times. If you look at construction material costs, they've increased at least 25% over the last 1 year. The supply chain's a mess, which will lead to delays in delivery of critical path materials. There's a shortage of skilled workers. And of course, many of those are necessary for all of these projects. So effectively, we're looking at likely project delays, which would add substantially to the final project costs. And then I'll just highlight that the county doesn't have a great track record of delivering projects, capital projects, on time within budget. Prime example, the EDAP project, East Kerr Sewer System. Was that originally 20 million, now 60-some million? So, any cost overruns that are incurred on these projects, we're going to have to raise taxes again to fund those. You can't stop a project that's 70% complete and not finish it. So that further burdens our already stretched taxpayers. Now, I'm told the bonds will increase taxes by $103 per year for the average homeowner. Fair enough. Let me remind you that even Barack Obama, one of our worst presidents ever, even Barack Obama said, you don't raise taxes in the middle of a recession. So, what's plan B if these bonds don't pass? I guarantee you're going to see some resistance. I don't think there is a plan B. Nothing's in the proposed county budget. So I urge the Capital Improvements Planning Committee to look at the details of the projects they're proposing, prioritize all the line items associated with the bonds, and reduce the ask by at least 50%. We have to focus on critical need expenditures only, particularly at this time, and you'll have a much better chance at getting the bonds approved. Look, we don't need a new $6 million animal control facility. I've proposed a number of changes that would solve the 80% solution, and I'm happy to go through those later in detail. And we could probably do it all for under $1 million, save the county $5 million. We don't need a new $4 million off-site storage building, not now. We do need a lot of work on organizing what's being stored. We can defer the West Kerr Annex and save $4 million for now. In terms of the ag barn, yeah, let's repair the roof, fix the electrical problems, and anything else that is urgent, but defer the concrete floor, the forage rooms, and toilets. And I'm sure we can save at least half of that $8 million. We don't need to spend anything on the courthouse grounds. I'm sorry, not at this time. So look, my message, find a way. Either do without, defer, or find alternative funding for those remaining items. But I urge you commissioners and the court not to approve the bond propositions as currently proposed. The timing is terrible. This ask is too much, and our citizens can't afford them now. Now, I'm happy to sit with you or the Capital Improvements Planning Committee to go through the detailed line items and look at how we achieve this. Thank you.
So that the public knows, we were trying to do this bond issue last November, but COVID slowed us down and we weren't able to get it completed. We've got 3 years worth of planning into what these are, we consider to be focused, responsible solutions. And we respect your disagreement, but we're still going forward. These needs are not going away. These are needs. These are not wants. These are not optional. We're not in compliance with state law. We're not in compliance with federal law. It's shameful. So I say that just in response that the irony here is that if you vote down this bond issue, it's going to cost the taxpayers more next year or the year after that or the year after that because they're not going away. The needs are not going away. So this is not so we're doing something brand new. This is something that we have to have. So be that as it may. Fred, did you want to say anything?
Just let me make a comment. Mr. Page made a comment about that we haven't done a good job on capital improvement projects. First of all, on the Centerpoint project, the project was expanded at the request of the Water Development Board. So, it's gone, this current phase is behind schedule, but the cost is not. The cost is exactly what it was, and we, estimated at the final, we did the final project. There's not been increases in that. That is true. The recent jail we built came in under budget, substantially under budget. The Hill Country Youth Event Center changes we made 2 different times came in within budget on time. The previous original jail and the courthouse renovation here came in on budget and basically on time. That jail, as I recall, was slightly behind schedule. So it is inaccurate to say that we have not managed properly capital improvement projects. We've done a pretty good job, I would say. That's all the comment.
Fred? This is Fred Henneke, a former county judge who is a member of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee.
Thank you, Judge. Again, Fred Henneke, 2595 Bandera Highway in Kerrville, although in the county, not in the city limits. And I am a member of the Kerr County Capital Improvements Planning Commission. Emphasize the word planning, not wish commission. I was appointed by Commissioner Mosier when he was the commissioner for Precinct 2. And I have served since, as the judge pointed out, October of 2019. When we first congregated, the 5 of us, first thing we did was we visited all of the county facilities. We drug ourselves to every possible county facility. We looked at them, kicked them, touched them, we listened to the people who worked there, and unanimously we were appalled by the state of the facilities. And we applauded and we sincerely appreciated the employees who worked in those conditions. We have an amazing, dedicated cadre of professional employees working for our benefit. And the problem is, in certain areas, like animal control in West Kerr County and here in the courthouse, they operate under less than optimal conditions. Matter of fact, they work under conditions that I don't see how they manage to succeed. We looked at a storage room in the first floor, the lower floor of this facility for a tax office. And I don't know how they find anything in there. They do the best they can. They don't have the time or the resources to do anything other than put things where they're safe and then go try to find what they need. Storage sounds like it's something that you don't really need storage. Yes, you do, because under state law, most of the material, most of the records of the county departments must be kept manually, indefinitely. So where are you going to put them?
And much of it in climate-controlled conditions.
You're going to stack them under your desk, or you're going to put them where they're actually preserved according to the law. So let's remember that. After we toured the facilities and spoke with all the county employees that were working at those facilities, we sat down and we came up with, thanks to Pete, the goal of devising focused, responsible solutions that would serve the citizens of Kerr County and the employees for up to 30 years. We did not set out to Band-Aid anything. We did not set out to patch things. Recently said here, not 2 minutes ago, that the county should be faulted for not maintaining things properly over the years. We don't want to defer that anymore. If we don't do it now, when will we do it? These are needs, not wants. And if we don't do them now, we're going to have to do them in the future, and I guarantee you it will be more expensive. Bond issue is like a mortgage. You pay for what you need over time. If you don't have a bond issue, what you end up with is paying for your needs out of tax revenue, which is immediate and which is a much higher burden on the taxpayer than approximately 8.62 cents a month that this $27.5 million bond issue would require. We, the Capital Improvements Planning Commission, have worked diligently. We've worked with professionals. The numbers that we present for the various projects are not this, pie in the sky, well, how about this, well, maybe this. They're all based on estimates by professionals in the field that they are working with this on. Construction managers, people who estimate construction projects expenses for their livelihood, provide us with numbers. Animal control people, professionals, provide us with numbers. People about security provide us with numbers. These are not pie in the sky numbers. These are not puff numbers. These are real numbers. Will the cost go up? Most likely. What will the county do if the costs go up? They will do the most they can do for the project with the funds that we provide for them. The funds that we, the citizens, provide for them. The decision was made early on not to do this through tax anticipation notes other than the real estate purchase, which was such a gift. I think the judge didn't mention that the interest rate on the 7-year tax anticipation notes is 0.75%, less than 1%. Hey, sign me up for some of that money. So we have done the best we can. We have come up with focused, responsible solutions for prime needs of the county, the citizens of this county, and the employees of this county. We can do no less than what we are setting out to do in order to solve the needs. These are not wants, these are needs. You can't have a West Kerr County annex that's not ADA compliant. Period. End of statement. You're going to get shut down, you're going to get sued, and it's going to cost a whole lot more money. Same thing with the animal control shelter. Same thing with the indoor arena. These are needs. We've worked hard. We've worked for 3 years, meeting regularly, every 2 weeks at least, for 3 years. And this is what we think, as citizens of this county, taxpayers of this county, assisted by licensed professionals in the areas where we need help, electrician, construction, plumbing, security, you name it. We want professionals. We have a
Don't leave out financial, they're here.
yeah. So, we've worked on your behalf. The court set us up. We've worked on behalf of the court and the citizens of Kerr County. Through the court, the decision was made to let the voters decide whether or not these projects need to be addressed now, as opposed to a year from now, as opposed to 2 years from now, where it would be incrementally more expensive. So on behalf of the committee, we urge the Commissioners Court to approve the election of the $27.5 million bond issue spread over the 3 propositions that have been described to the court. On behalf of the Capital Improvements Planning Commission, thank you.
And for the record, we have many of them here. I'd like to identify them. Fred has already spoken. We have Brenda Hughes. We have Pete Calderon. Unable to be here today is Bobby Templeton. It is the first day of school in Ingram, so he's there. And Chris Hughes had something come up that he couldn't make it this morning. We also have Peter Lewis, who is our architect, here with us, and Todd Bach, who is new to the team. He's going to be our bond campaign chairman. So, any other discussion?
I would add that we've experienced abnormally low interest rates for the longest period of time, and that's about to reverse, and it won't get cheaper. I'm talking about the interest rates.
What kind of rates are we looking at, Tom? 4%? 5%?
4.25.
It's probably going to be between 3.5% and 4% by the time you issue bonds. You won't be able to issue bonds until probably January.
Right.
Assuming the election passes in 30-day contest period. I think Dusty would tell you it'd probably sell in January.
Right. That's what he's told us. We've talked to him. But so that the public knows, what we're looking at right now is probably interest rates between 3.5% to 4%. They're listening to Tom Spurgeon, our counsel. And we've got the $2.5 million that we've already borrowed that we're paying back. Will be paid off. We're in our second. I think our second payment comes up. So we're almost 2 years into the 7 at 0.75% interest. So when we tell you that it's going to cost more, we all know it's going to cost more. We know it because of the interest rates. We know it because of inflation. We know it because of the all the supply problems that we're having. We know what's going to happen. So we couldn't do it last year because we were trying to recover from COVID and finish our planning. We've got to get it done now. If we don't do it now, it's just going to be that much more.
Judge, the only comment I'll make, I just want to thank the CIP committee. They have really, I mean, I think they originally thought that there would be about a 6-month
Right.
duration. It turned out to be a little bit over 2 years.
I told Bobby it'd be at least 3 or 4 meetings.
But they have, I've never seen a group volunteers basically put in as much time, visit the committees. I mean, meeting after meeting, going through it, the details. They really did an outstanding job, far better than I ever really anticipated. And the other key part of it was this bond was driven by them and what they found, not by this court. We certainly were aware of what they were doing, and they made regular reports to the court, but they were the ones really doing the work, and they really need to be recognized for that.
I want to echo that. They really did a heck of a job. And I like to say, I doubt that all of them would have anticipated the needs without looking behind the curtains. And thank heavens we didn't have to buy film or pay for developing film. All the pictures that Brenda took, good grief. She has a picture of everything. It's documented everything in Kerr County. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all did a heck of a job.
Okay, any other discussion? Any other input? Then those in favor of the bond election in November of this year, as presented today here, raise your hand. Unanimous, 4-0. Okay, I have a personal matter. I'm going to have to step out with the attorney. We need to get the attorneys to talk to us before I go.
Oh,
I've got is that something we're going to do in executive session, or we're going to do it in open session?
If you were, I mean, I think this would be an open session. I think what you're concerned about, Judge, is what you can say.
Right, because as of now, we have called the election.
Correct.
And I'm just briefly summarizing it. I'll let y'all explain it to us because you explained it to me to begin with. But we have to take our advocate's hat off as elected officials and be just informative in the information we provide. We can talk about the needs, we can talk about the solutions, but in terms of, shaking somebody's hand and asking them to vote for it, we have to leave it up to you, people, to vote.
Yes, sir. You want to select?
I actually have to leave also right now real quick, but I'm going to step to the podium and explain very briefly, summarize. I'm trying to make it to another meeting right now that I have at 11 back in San Antonio. Jake Wattis, for the record, McCall, Parker, and Horton. I work with Tom Spurgeon. He's a mentor. And so very briefly, summarize what you can and cannot do is you cannot use county resources to advocate for a measure. So Tom and I have talked about this, and we think that, if a commissioner sees somebody at HEB and they want to say, yeah, we support this proposition, you can do that. Now, if you're in a regularly scheduled commissioners court meeting where county resources are being used, then that's a different story. You cannot, in this environment, speak on behalf of a measure. Same with county email addresses. The key determining factor here is county resources. If in any way county resources are affiliated with the message that they're bringing across, even if it's electricity, especially employee time, you don't want employees going out there while they're on the clock advocating for something, then you can't do that. But on your own personal time, you can put yard signs up if you'd like to, and you can advocate for the measure.
And one of the things that we didn't discuss earlier is that we are forming a special purpose action committee for the purpose of getting the bond election passed. And that is what Todd Bach is going to head up as the chair of the Special Purpose Action Committee.
And any funds with that committee would be coming from the public.
Right.
No county funds, et cetera.
Right. We're completely separating the campaign from the county.
Correct.
So, and the name of that is the community supporting Kerr County. is the name of the Special Purpose Action Committee.
I have a question about that. As a committee member, can I support the PAC
Yeah.
financially
Yes.
with donations?
Absolutely.
You're a citizen. You have all your rights.
It's us that are limited, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'm gonna get Tom and take you over to my office. I've got to be somewhere.
We'll take a 5-minute break, Judge.
Yeah, 5-minute break.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry.
You ready?
Yes.
All right, we'll call item 1.2, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to modify court order 39461 to reset the public hearing on the proposed Kerr County budget for FY 2022-2023 to 9 a.m. on August 29th, 2022, as previously set for August 22nd, 2022, and authorize county clerk to publish notice of public hearing. Due to a failure of the item to be posted in the newspaper, it was sent to them, but they, for some reason, didn't get it posted on time. We have to reset that public hearing. So,
I move for approval.
Second.
a motion and a second to approve the agenda item. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item 1.3, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to modify court order 39451 regarding publication of the hearing for proposed salary increases for elected county and precinct officials for Kerr County FY 2022 to 2023. Hearing to be set at a regular meeting of the court during the regular budget hearing and adoption proceedings, which will be held on September 12th, 2022 at 9:45 a.m., previously set for August 22nd, 2022, and authorize county clerk to publish same.
And this is the same as the last agenda item, so I move for approval.
Second.
There a motion and a second to approve item 1.3. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Item 1.4, discussion and action as needed regarding presentation of above and beyond awards to multiple county employees. August 22nd, 2022, reaching over a 90% combined completeness percentage in criminal disposition reporting to keep Kerr County compliant so as to receive any federal and state grant funds by submitting error resolution information to Criminal Justice Information System. And where'd Ms. Dowdy go? Oh, she's up there. You're wearing black or something. Okay, Ms. Dowdy.
Yes, so this is just a discussion for the court to know that the HR department has prepared certificates to present on August 22nd to these county employees. There is a blank for the county judge to sign as well next to the department head. And so I think I'm just seeking the approval of the court to authorize him or to get your input.
Yeah, I think we can just do that. The court can just authorize the county judge to sign the certificates for the agenda item.
Okay. And did y'all want to know more about the award?
Yes.
Okay, so there are multiple grants that the county receives, and in 2012, I guess there was legislative action, I believe on the state level, and I'd like to point out that Noelle Putnam, our grant administrator, helped me find this information, so kudos to her. But in order to receive any federal or state grants, in 2012, it was enacted that each county had to reach a 90% completeness percentage reporting on criminal dispositions in order to, within the past 5 years, in order to receive any federal or state grants. And so, as far as my office is concerned, my clerks are already required to report dispositions, but this is about the cleanup afterwards. If there's any errors that are unbeknownst to the clerks or the arresting agency or the prosecutor's office, as far as with the steps in the case from arrest to disposition, that is not in our job description. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we present these employees with these above and beyond awards to commend them for their, duties that are not necessarily listed in the job description. And
Okay.
it's a combined effort.
Right.
And so that's
Good.
what this is about.
thanks to your employees of doing it. Do we need to make a call, mention?
If y'all needed to hear more about it, I was gonna make a phone call, I just had him on standby.
I think that's
Yeah,
sufficient.
we're good.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the county judge to sign the above and beyond awards for county employees.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all so much.
Unanimous. And with that, we're done for the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.